Mr. Abbott, I'm just going to show you a quick video on how you deal with drawing the path of a sun for a date that's other than one of the seasons. If you look at all three of these celestial sphere models, you notice that they give you each of the normal paths for the seasonal dates. Path A is the winter solstice, but you should be able to tell that because it's the shortest, lowest path, and the sun rises south of east to south of west. Path B is the equinox. It's got to be an equinox because it rises due east and sets due west, and the altitude is somewhere in the middle. C is the summer solstice path. It rises north of east and sets north of west, and it reaches the maximum angle for the year at solar noon. So those are the three dates you normally start with. Now, I would suggest whenever they give you some date that's not one of the seasons, you write down a full year. I think it's easier to write it down in numbers. So 12/21, 3/21, 6/21, 9/23, and 12/21. Every seasonal date has to fit somewhere between those paths. So if I'm looking at December 15th, you would write it as 12/15. So 12/15 should go in between the equinox path and the winter solstice path, but honestly it will be a lot closer. It's 6 days before the winter solstice path. So if I'm attempting to sketch it in from fall until winter, every single day the sunset would be moving farther south. So December 15th, sunrise would be just a little bit before you hit the winter solstice position. Sunset would be slightly north of the sunset position on 12/21, and the noon sun would be close to the lowest value. So you plot sunrise, sunset, noon sun. The paths tend to go parallel, so in the morning the altitude would increase, and then in the afternoon the altitude would decrease. If I grab a highlighter just to show you that path, it would be between these paths, but the altitude increases till solar noon, and then the altitude decreases until sunset. It would just be a little bit longer than 9 hours. Now, the top model gives you June 1st. Well, I can jot down all the dates again. 12/21, 3/21, 6/21. Now, I've gone far enough because June 1st is going to be 6/1, so June 1st fits between the spring equinox and the summer solstice, but that should say June 1st. Okay, it's 20 days before the summer solstice. So, sunrise would be north of east, but it wouldn't be the farthest north of east. Sunset, you'd slide across at the same angle, and it would be north of west. On June 1st, you're going to get a high altitude for the sun, and the path should go up. It parallels the other path, and then it comes down in the background. So if I'm going to highlight that, I'll choose a different color, but highlighting this, okay, June 1st is definitely close to, but slightly below the path for the summer solstice. Now, February 3rd. Okay. February goes between 12/21, which is the winter solstice, and 3/21, which is the equinox. Okay, so you've got winter to spring, and February 3rd to 3 should be right in between those dates. So, this is the winter solstice, this is an equinox. Sunrise would still be south of east, sunset would be south of west, the noon sun would be somewhere in between those. Now, this path would be getting longer the next day. When you look at this path, the values will get shorter in December, but if you reach the summer solstice, once you reach the winter solstice, I should say, the day after the winter solstice, and for this next 6 months, the altitude would be increasing until you hit the summer solstice. So there you have 3 examples of drawing a path. The path for any other date has to fit somewhere between the seasonal paths that you're usually given. Good luck.